All right, welcome back to another Thursday episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. I'm your host, Emma. On today's episode, I'm going to be chatting about when I get myself into a bit of a rut and how I get myself out of that feeling. I know we've all probably been there where you're kind of in a little bit of a phase where maybe you're not as motivated as you typically are. You just kind of don't have that drive to go do things like you typically would. And a lot of times that can show itself in many ways. Like that can show up in your workouts where you're just like not feeling it or you're not motivated to go. The exercises don't seem exciting. You're not excited to go work out and to train. It can kind of show up in your nutrition. You're just not motivated to cook your food, or you're like, oh, I might as well just eat out. Or maybe you're just not feeling good about your body, how you feel in your skin. You're just not being your best, right? And you know it, you understand that. So I'm going to be talking about a little bit of that and how I the tools that I use to help get myself out of those feelings and out of that cycle, because obviously we're all going to go through it. But what I think is important to understand is to be able to realize or kind of pick up on the signs that maybe you're falling into that sort of rut or into that slump or cycle, and how to identify maybe what the root cause of that is, why it's causing you to feel this way, and then also what can you do to change it and to help yourself feel better, right? Because we're all in control of our own lives. We're all in control of our own motivation. It's going to come and go. It's not just one of those things that will magically appear, but it does magically disappear. So I think it's important to understand, like, we've all been there in that situation. I've been there myself many, many times over the years, whether it's with my workouts or with food or with work or just in my life in general, where you're just not feeling yourself. You're not feeling motivated to do things. You don't have a lot of energy. Maybe your social battery doesn't feel like it has as much capacity as it normally would. And you just find yourself saying no to things or bailing on plans. Maybe it's showing up in how you feel about your body. You look in the mirror every day and you're just not happy with how you look despite the work that you're putting in every day. And you kind of start to spiral or go down that road with the negative thoughts and the body dysmorphia, and you just kind of focus on all of those negative aspects, which then kind of digs you deeper into that hole and into that rut, instead of maybe turning and focusing on some of the positives and stopping those negative thoughts before they manifest into something deeper. So I think the first thing that I try to do when I realize that I'm in one of these slumps or in one of these ruts, I like to kind of call it my numb phase almost, where I'm just kind of going through the motions. And I lived in this phase for a really long time, especially when I was working my old corporate job. I was the general manager and I just was stuck in this routine where I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. I just didn't really feel like I could make an impact on things overall in the grand scheme. So it led me to fall into this rut, and then I kept myself there. I didn't really do anything, or I didn't have or know what tools or options that I could use to get me out of that rut at the time. So I was in that for quite a long time, probably almost a year, honestly, before I decided to make a decision to leave. But I think that's one of the main things, is you need to realize and understand that yes, you are in that position and it's okay to be in that position. It's okay to be in that rut or that stage. But you also need to take ownership and take responsibility over the fact that it's going to be you that gets you out of that rut and out of that phase. So my main thing is I like to try to figure out, and I usually do this by writing, I try to figure out what it is that I'm feeling, whether it's something about my body, whether it's something about my business, about my workouts, about one of my relationships with my friend, whatever it may be. And I just try to really identify what are those feelings I'm feeling and what can I do to make myself feel better. So once you kind of unpack what it is that's causing you to feel this way, really look at what the causes of these feelings are, and then think about what is controllable and what isn't controllable. So what is in my control and what isn't in my control. And one thing that is in my control is how I speak to myself. And I think that's a really big piece when we're in one of these negative ruts or negative slumps. Our negative self-talk is kind of at an all-time high, right? Maybe it's every time you look in the mirror, you're kind of picking something apart about yourself, or you're getting down on yourself because you missed one workout, or maybe you didn't lift as much weight as you did the week before, or you had to eat out one meal, or maybe you missed a meal. So you start to get really down on yourself and you start to okay, well, this is the reason why I feel like this, and this is the reason why I feel like this, and my stomach looks like this because I did X, and like things like that, that's not beneficial to you. What I learned I needed to do instead of focusing on those negative aspects is I needed to focus on the positives, and I need to focus on what wins I was having. Those wins can be however big, however small. It can be as simple as getting out of bed when your alarm goes off instead of pressing snooze 2 to 3 times. It can be as simple as getting up and going to the gym instead of putting it off and kind of procrastinating and waiting till the end of the day. So what I do and what I like to teach my clients to do as well is to focus on the small wins. And it doesn't matter how small, how big, a win is a win. And that will help you to build momentum and build motivation. Maybe your win is that you just showed up to the gym today, and maybe it wasn't your best workout, and that's okay, but you still showed up to the gym instead of sitting at home and kind of like sitting in that self-pity. Maybe you haven't been hitting your macros 10 out of 10, but you've been crushing your protein and you've set that as your non-negotiable and you haven't let that slip. So celebrate that. You need to realize you're in control of how you are feeling. With being in control of how you are feeling, you can choose to make decisions that you know are going to make you feel better. So if you're not feeling great about your activity level, just start adding in maybe one walk a day, or take the stairs when you go to work. It's making those small decisions for you and celebrating those wins, however small, that are really going to help you to get out of this rut as quickly as possible. Something you can do every day by writing those wins down, maybe in a journal, as affirmations, or just repeating them to yourself daily. Putting positive affirmations as like sticky notes around my mirror, or writing on my mirror with a whiteboard marker. A lot of my clients do this as well. Just writing those positive notes to yourself or reminders to yourself and putting them in a place where you're going to see them every day. Above my sink in our bathroom, I have my positive affirmations on the mirror. So every morning when I'm like washing my face, brushing my teeth, I look at those. And the same thing at nighttime when I'm washing my face and brushing my teeth, I get to look at them right there as well. So that's something I definitely recommend. A lot of my clients have either it's at their coffee station in the morning, on their fridge, on their mirror in their closet, to just really help keep things in mind and just those little reminders to themselves to celebrate those small wins, that you are strong, and all those things that really just will hit home for you. So I really suggest that you take some time and sit down and write down some positive affirmations for yourself. Instead of focusing on those negative thoughts, turn those negative thoughts into a more positive way and start using those affirmations and repeating those to yourself instead of repeating those negative ones. And just really have confidence in yourself that you are doing things well. You do have wins to celebrate. So start focusing on those instead of focusing and trying to find the negative things. Looking for negatives, you're always going to find negatives. So start looking for more positives and you'll be surprised by how many more positives you find. So the last thing I want to touch on when it comes to getting yourself out of a rut, and something I love to do, and I've kind of incorporated a lot of these things into my everyday to really just help me feel grounded and feel my best, so that I can give more to my clients, give more to my partner, give more to my family, and give more to my relationships with my friends. So I started doing this a while ago, and I basically just, when I was in these kind of like rut phases, I just need to figure out what it is that I can do that's actionable, that's really going to make me feel better. Because, you know, some days you just feel down and just don't feel like yourself, right? And it may not even be that you're in like a cycle of being in a rut. Having an off day, right? It's something that I always like to have close by and on hand so that I can reference. And I get a lot of my clients to use this as well, because we get so caught up in our everyday life that it's hard to kind of take time for us, and especially to take time to do something intentionally that's going to make you feel better, right? But it is something that, like, if you can take the time to do this and prioritize doing one of these things when you're kind of feeling down or in those ruts, and start referring to this list that you've made and start using these, I promise you, you're going to start feeling better. So basically what I did is I got my little notebook out and I created a list, and I just called it things that make me feel my best. So, and then I just wrote down a list of all the things that I can do, listen to, watch, whatever it may be, that's really just going to make me feel my absolute best. Maybe it's to go hang out with a friend, whatever it may be. It's something that genuinely fulfills me, fills my cup up, and just makes me feel good. So I've actually seen like TikTok recently. I think this is called a dopamine menu. So I didn't know this at the time that that's what it was called, but if you look it up on TikTok, you'll see that it's called the dopamine menu. But anyway, so some of the things that I include on my list of things that make me feel good, and these can be small things too. They don't have to cost money. They don't have to involve going somewhere. It can just be small, simple things. For me, a huge one is my self-care shower. If you're one of my clients, you've definitely heard me talk about my self-care shower. This is something that I incorporate every few days into my routine as well. It's just a really good time for me to kind of get in tune with myself and just be present. So what I like to do, I'll light a bunch of candles in the shower. I'll pick a good podcast or maybe like a vlog or a show that I want to watch or listen to, and I'll just get that girl shower, right? So like I'm washing my hair, conditioning, mask, all that sort of stuff. And that's just a really good time. I'll sometimes be in there for 45 minutes, I'm not going to lie. But I find it so beneficial because then when I get out of the shower and I'm clean and you just feel really good, my mind feels really good. I don't know if you've ever like written affirmations on the inside of your shower wall. That's something cool that you can do too, and just build that strong mindset for yourself. So my self-care showers, those are huge for me. But then there's other like small things. Something as simple as having a drink that I like in a fancy glass. Not that this is a fancy glass for those of you watching, but sometimes I'll get like an energy drink, or maybe it's like a sparkling drink or something like that. I don't really drink alcohol that much, so I don't really tend to go for that option. It's usually like a sparkling drink or just a Gatorade. Sometimes I'll put it over crushed ice or in a wine glass, something like that. And it's just a little extra treat for myself, right? Maybe I have that while I'm watching a show or while I'm doing a little bit of work. Just take that extra second for yourself. Obviously, another huge thing for me is family. So I love to go hang out with my family, whether that's going for walks, just cooking a nice meal, spending time together, going out shopping, to IKEA, things like that. I'm super grateful that I have my family close by and I'm able to go see them kind of whenever I would like. Leaning on them a lot. Also going to visit friends, hanging out with friends, even if it's just like a FaceTime or sending a voice note to someone, voice noting back and forth. But other things on my list, cooking myself a nice meal, something that's healthy that I enjoy, finishing all my work early so that I can just have a chill night and kind of binge watch a few shows, something like that is something that I like to do to kind of relax a little bit. In terms of like going out to do things, you can go treat yourself, go take yourself for dinner, or go grab a nice coffee, or go work from a different location, take yourself to a new cafe to go work for the day. Things like that really help make me feel fulfilled and just grateful also for what I get to do every day and for my job. So I find that also helps ground me and in turn fill my cup up. So I think some takeaways from this should be to remember that you are in control of your feelings and you do have to take some ownership and some responsibility over the decisions you make to help make yourself feel better. Limiting your negative self-talk and instead turning those negative thoughts that you're repeating over and over to yourself that are only hurting you more, and turning those thoughts into a more positive way and repeating those positive affirmations to yourself every day. Whether that's sticky notes on your mirror, repeating them to yourself in the shower, or writing them down in your journal, those positive affirmations are a really great way to really help you get out of that rut. And build your list of things that make you feel good. So you can refer back to this on a daily basis. Whenever it is that you just kind of feel like you need that little boost. And it's a lot easier to have these things written down than when you're in that moment, in that kind of negative headspace to try to think of something that is going to make you feel better. Have it done for yourself. Have it planned out. The same way you'd have your workouts planned out, same way you'd have your nutrition planned out, have this planned out too so that you can fall back on it when you need to. So that's it for this episode. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. I had so much great feedback from my first episode that I released last week. So I'm really excited to continue on this journey with everyone. So be sure to check out Trey's episode every Monday on the Extreme Lifestyle Living podcast, and check out my episodes every Thursday. I'll see you next Thursday. But you bet me in that corner.